this brain mapping study, it's actually where my board certification is in brain mapping and neurofeedback. And so I hope to give you insight into this. It was done by SciTech Labs. They did a non-invasive scan. It is a non-invasive scanning and subtle energy testing lab. So the effect of the LifeWave X39 patches on the brain as seen with P3 brain mapping. And we won't get really technical on that, but I'm going to give some basics about it. Principal investigators, you can go back and read all of those. So I want to explain and define for you a few terms before we go and show their actual brain maps. EEG coherence, electroencephalogram coherence. It's a measure of the synchronization of signals between two sites and may be interpreted as an expression of their functional interaction. How are they communicating and sending these electrical messages back and forth? Coherence quantifies the degree of the interaction or communication and shared information between brain sites. Here's coherence. And I put different colors on this side than this side because truly we have two separate brains, kind of, in that there are a lot different things that happen on the left side of the brain compared to the right. And that's what the colors represent. But we have this communication back and forth, coordinating with both sides of the brain. Normal coherence is when there's a normal amount of traffic going back and forth. And then we look at, is it just the right amount? And then we look at this, more of an explanation, when brain sites are not functioning in an efficient, interdependent fashion, they have too much crosstalk, they are overly connected and locked together. That's hypercoherence. So here's, I show, got the same thing going on the left as the right. It's not supposed to happen that way. Hypercoherence is too much. There's too much crosstalk. It's like a jammed up freeway during rush hour. Nobody goes anywhere. So everything gets slowed in the brain when there's too much. Hypocoherence is when it's called poor inter-site interaction, and it's an indication of diminished cognitive efficiency. So here would be hypo. It's like nothing, there's not, I don't have much here and much here, and I don't have enough crosstalk to coordinate all parts of the brain. Because truly, I'm sure you've heard this before, but 80% of some things are processed on the left side, some are processed on the right. But the actual facts are things are processed 80% on one side, but 20% on the other. And the same is true for everything. So, but truly, everything is processed partly by the entire brain. It just needs to be lopsided one side to the other and then cross-coordinated. A little bit different look at it. Hypercoherence. Both sides of the brain are struggling to process information, and they basically try to recruit each other and therefore have more brain cells to do the job in processing the same information. Things are jammed up. Hypocoherence, that's where there's not enough communication between sites in the brain, and it implies cognitive processing. So the study looked at, and move that out. Oops, sorry, gotta go back. The study looked at the degree of hypercoherence and hypocoherence. Where is there too much traffic, and where is there not enough in each individual, and how they improved as a result of wearing the X39 patch. So what were they measuring? And this gets a little technical. I'm just going to make it understandable. So I have to get some things out of the way. There we go. So physical reaction time, we looked at that. How long does it take after hearing something to do something? Trail making, a standard measure of brain function includes measures of psychomotor and visual scanning. Auditory P300, what they do is they send in a sound, an audible sound in headphones, and watch how fast those messages go to the places that perceive that sound. And if it goes too fast or too slow, that's abnormal. This CZ theta beta, just know that if their beta waves are involved in concentration and fast processing, theta waves are more like halfway between sleep and awake, meditation, and memory processing. If your theta waves are too overpowering for your concentration beta waves, it's ADHD, it's ADD, it's aspects of autism and Asperger's. These are the things we treat in my office, and the X39 actually facilitates that. F3, F4, this has to do with, there are two of our brain waves that are supposed to be asymmetrically more powerful on one side or the other. They are beta and alpha. When they switch, if alpha switches to the left, more powerful, it's depression. If beta shifts to the right, it's anxiety. Now let's get this thing around. Okay, so that's good enough for that. Hopefully that was understandable. Let's look at some results. So here's what the brain map looks like. And all right, so the red is areas of hyper coherence, overactive brain. I can't focus, I can't process stuff. Everything's all jammed up. Blue is hypocoherence. Green is good. Good. Green, yellow, good. You see, from session 1 to session 2, look what happened. It wasn't a straight line to get to session, the third EEG. It actually kind of overcompensated and then had some hypocoherence. So this is why it's important to set someone's expectations correctly. As your brain goes through shifts, and we see this in my office every day, where on your way to something good, something kind of goes a little under-functioning, but then it goes back. And that's what the researchers stated at the end of the study. Here's another one. This brain is way overactive. Almost the entire brain was in hypercoherence. But the halfway mark, he just had it in the frontal lobes. And now you start to see some green and some a little underfunctioning. And then the whole brain is working better than this on the left. Here's another one. Way overactive brain starts immediately to start getting better function and communication side to side in this one. And then has, for the most part, green, yellow, blue. But it was only 6 weeks. But this guy had better brain function, better cognitive ability. This one was really interesting because started out in hypocoherence. The entire brain went into hypocoherence before it started shifting. This is a long-term project right here to get this brain. You see a lot, much better functioning here. But the interesting thing that she said that she was feeling a lot better. And we see that when we used to do these brain maps. We don't need to do them anymore with the new system, but we would see small changes in somebody's brain maps, but huge changes in symptoms. So the conclusion of this study, all participants showed dramatic changes in their scalp topographic maps, reporting the amplitude of the P300 recording. So without getting all that technical stuff, the bottom line is everybody had better functioning brain, less hyperactive brain, overactive brain. And some of you, if you have an overactive brain, I can't shut my brain off at night and I'm having a hard time focusing. I can't process things. I don't remember things. I might have anxiety. I might have depression, ADD, ADHD. The more hypercoherent someone has, the more autistic he or she is. Okay, so that was a 6-week trial.